Hello there. Meet my hands. They're a bit wonky, but they do the job. And you're about to see me using them for something some like to call cartooning. Others like to call it a waste of time. Either way, I'm doing it, baby, and I ain't apologizing. So, the idea to show a page of my graphic novel being inked comes from watching Neil Blandon's new vodcast. In the first episode of that, he inks and talks at the same time. I can't do that, which is why I'm recording my audio and video separately. Neil is a legend in the Australian comic scene, which is why he's capable of such multitasking feats. I, however, am still learning how to lift a pen without suffocating in my lungs. Anyway, my name is Tony, single. I've been kind of on the fringes of the Australian cartooning community for as long as I can remember. And that's not on them. That's all me. I'm just not very good at social stuff. I would like to be. I've tried all my life to be, but yeah, I've pretty much resigned myself to being a shut-in at this point. Good thing I like to make comics then, isn't it? So, I'm going to be your host for the Crumbcast. This thing. A vodcast where I attempt to answer questions you may have about comics and cartooning and stuff besides. And before anybody asks why I'm doing this, it's because I'm a big old narcissist who's one step away from wearing an adult nappy and a fake orange tan. I want my own true social, dagnabbit, and I want it now. And you actually want to be here listening to my every utterance, right? Right? Okay, fine. Awkward introductions aside, I'm going to get this thing rolling with the inaugural question provided by Lolsey's Library from WordPress. She asks, tell us a little about yourself. What made you want to give podcasting, if that's a word, a try? Thank you for the question, Lolsey. I reckon podcasting's a word. I mean, I've heard it used by other people anyway, so perhaps it's safe for you and I to use it too. I'll let you know if that changes. As for the why, I think I've kind of touched on that already. I just want to imprint myself upon the public consciousness as a way of legitimizing my existence, I guess. As a way to distract myself from the threat of personal extinction, which is always there, always one step behind, more agape and huffing over my shoulder with a degree of menace that makes me go, well, that's not very nice. As for a little about yourself, you have my name and the thing that I do, and you can probably tell from my voice that I'm a bloke, or at least a convincing facsimile of one. I've often felt like a naive boy in a world of men, and at other times like a raddled old geezer in a world of boys that are still somehow more manly than I was at their age. A strange feeling, to say the least. I mean, one that I'm used to, but it never ceases to be strange. And you can probably tell from my accent that I'm from Australia, the land down under. Although I have had people swear to me that I'm from Britain or New Zealand as well. I don't hear that, but okay, I'm deaf, what do I know? And then there are the people who ask me, with a straight face, mind, if I'm on drugs. Don't really know how to respond to that. Is it the long-haired stoner hippie vibe I give off? Probably, but I assure you, the truth is much less interesting than that. I'm just a bloke with a hearing aid trying not to slur his words so as to seem as normal as the hearing ones. So, a potted history. I was born in the 70s, grew up in a sleepy little suburb on the east coast of Australia, fumbled my way through little and big school with my aforementioned hearing disability, and eventually found myself doing a BVA in animation at the Queensland College of Art. And when I realized that animation was not the thing I wanted to be doing, although I do still love animation, I turned my attention to comics. I did a couple of self-published zines, then did some stuff for a wonderful comics anthology called DV, and then struck out on my own to get a comic strip called Trottersville accepted by any major newspaper syndicate that would have me. And none would, because, quite frankly, my strips were shit. I was not the Charles Schulz I imagined myself to be. No one is except Charles Schulz. In the following decade or two, I got married, changed my surname from single to married. Yeah, 'cause that's not a hoary old chestnut. I wrestled with mental health issues, not because of said marriage, to be clear, or the name change. And throughout all of that, I got involved with a high control religion. Yeah, I should probably have mentioned that sooner, but I didn't want to lead with a woe is me story. But I do have to admit that religion kind of messed me up a bit, although luckily I did eventually get out of that dog and pony show. Then spent about a decade after in counselling. I became a cleaner, began a webcomic called Crumbcast, met a Ukrainian poet/writer online, ran a literary blog with her, wrote lots of my own poetry for said blog, authored some poetry collections with her, produced an updated version of Trottersville with her, and listened to a lot of sweet, soothing heavy metal. So it wasn't all bad. And that brings us to now, where the literary blog is still going, and that Ukrainian poet and I are producing a graphic novel together. The page you see on screen is from that, by the way. Oh, and her name is Tatiana, or Tati for short. She effing rules, just so you know. Well, hopefully that was not too much or too little. I'm happy to expand on any of that, should anybody wish. Or not. Again, thanks for the question, Lolsey. It was a good one to begin with, I think. Okay, so let's do one more before I end this episode. Charles FWH of WordPress asks, "Good luck with your new cast. Curious how you push past the discomfort of recording and hearing your own voice. Had a similar phobia." Thank you, Sir Charles. As to how I push past the discomfort, I don't have an easy answer for that. I think what it comes down to is a love of recording audio stuff, which I've had since a friend and I made mixtapes back in our school days. We'd spend the weekends recording favourite songs from one cassette deck to another, inserting commentary/comedic routines between said songs, and just having fun doing it. They were kind of like personal little radio shows, I guess. So maybe it all comes from that, I don't know. Fond memories anyway. What I can say for sure is that it feels good to create things. Obviously a lot of creatives can relate to that. Yeah. It's the only time in life I feel useful, where I feel like I could actually be fit for purpose. That's something I say a lot because it's true. Like what you're seeing on screen right now. When I'm inking something, even though I don't consider myself one of the greats at it, doesn't matter. It still feels right, and I do feel a little less agitated and wrong. It's one of the few things that gets me out of the existentiality of myself. Jesus. Is that a word? Sounds a bit pretentious, doesn't it? Let's move on. Actually, no, I reckon I'll leave it at that for now. I've been gassing on for long enough anyway, so, you know. Now, I have been sent other questions, really good questions, regarding what I'm doing these days, my cartooning influences, Glenn Ross, and boobies. So, don't you worry, I'll get to those topics in upcoming episodes. And please do feel free to add more questions. This is kind of fun, and I'd like to do more. Anyway, thanks to anybody listening. And I guess this is the bit where I attempt to say something nice and full of deep, flowery wisdom or something. As a sign-off, you know. Okay, let's try that. Remember, you are valuable. You are loved. Whoever you are, wherever you are. Yeah, okay, that's enough of that.